Are we okay? The Planning Commission meeting of May 14th will come to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. The Secretary will call roll.
Commissioner Mann, Commissioner Tolson,
Here.
Commissioner Rice,
Here.
Vice Chairperson Kennedy,
Here.
Chairperson Chrisman.
Here. May I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
May I
I'll
have a-
second it.
A motion was made by Commissioner Telson with a second by Commissioner Lee. Yeah. Unless there are any objections, the agenda stands approved. May I have a motion for approval of the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
A motion was made by Commissioner Telson with a second by Commissioner Rice. Unless there is any objections, the minutes are approved. The Secretary will read the declaration of conflict.
If any member of the Planning Commission may have a conflict of interest or any reason why that member must abstain from consideration of any matter on this agenda, he or she should so declare at this time.
Are there any declarations of conflict? This is the time allotted for public statements or comments on all items other than public hearing items. Is there anyone in the chamber wishing to be heard? Hearing none, there's no correspondence, right?
Yes,
Oh, there is.
Chairperson Chrisman, we did receive one late correspondence. It's a supplemental agenda item for 11A1 from the California Department of Housing Defense Fund, California Housing Defense Fund, regarding item 11A1, their letter of support for the project.
Thank you. We don't have anything on the consent calendar. We don't have anything on the continued business. Okay, new business. This is the time and place set for a public hearing on the consideration of PD-S-2024-007 CUP-S-2024-0010 TP-S-2024-0005. Are there any ex parte communications to report? May we have an oral report on this matter by staff?
Yes, good evening, Chairperson Chrisman and members of the Planning Commission. This is a plan development permit and conditional use permit modification and a tentative parcel map for the proposed redevelopment of the Lighthouse Community Church on Cochran Street, where they're proposing to essentially split off the eastern portion of their property to a affordable housing project, and at the same time, semi-concurrently, to add a sanctuary addition to their existing church facility on the remaining portion of the site. Our associate planner is Zuri Chaparian will have tonight's presentation.
Thank you, Sean. Good evening, Planning Commissioners. The applicant, Lighthouse Bible Church, requests approval of a plan development permit, tentative parcel map, and conditional use permit modification to create a new parcel, construct an 80-unit multifamily apartment complex, and a modification to the existing conditional use permit for a religious facility. The affordable housing agreement falls under the City Council's purview and will be reviewed at a later date. The project site is located at 4910 Cochrane Street. The western portion of the site is currently developed with a 17,000 square foot religious facility and 3,000 square foot parsonage. The site is surrounded by a religious facility and recently approved townhouse development to the west, single-family homes to the north and south, and a private school to the east. The property is owned by the Lighthouse Bible Church of Simi Valley, who plans to sell the vacant eastern portion of the site outlined in red on screen to Cam Coastal. To facilitate this, the applicant is also proposing the tentative parcel map to subdivide the lot, keeping the religious facility on parcel 1 and constructing the apartment complex on parcel 2. The 80-unit apartment complex is proposed on the eastern 1.97-acre portion of the site, which will be accessed by a new driveway from Cochrane Street. The units will be spread amongst 2 3-story buildings. A total of 108 parking spaces are provided on site. 39 of those spaces will be in 1- or 2-car garages or carports provided at the first level, and an additional 69 uncovered parking spaces will be provided along driveways within the development shown in yellow. The project will also add approximately 9,500 square feet of new landscaping throughout the perimeter of the site along walkways and parking. A common outdoor space are courtyards on portions of the 3rd story, which will include a barbecue, picnic tables, and benches. The complex provides community amenities, including a fitness center, resident lounge, and community room, and as shown on screen, a landscape courtyard on the 3rd floor. The courtyards are set back more than 100 feet from Cochrane Street and from the southern property line. The buildings are each 3 stories and 38 feet tall and have a California coastal design. It incorporates blue board siding and stucco walls painted in white and gray tones. Glass doorways and windows are trimmed in white. 20 of the units will have balconies. To add visual interest and reduce massing, the design includes recessed walls, varied roof lines, and horizontal articulation through the use of different building materials. The units will be a mix of 1 and 2 bedrooms, ranging in size from 590 to 915 square feet, as shown on the table. The 16 affordable units are floating units, which will not be tied to any particular unit. The residential high-density zoning on the property allows for 20 dwelling units per acre, and on the 1.97-acre parcel, this equals to 40 units. Per the density bonus law, with a 50% density bonus for low-income units and a stacked 50% density bonus for moderate-income units, the developer is proposing to build 80 units. 24% of the base density, or 10 units, is required to be low-income units. The developer agrees to provide an additional 15% of base density, or 6 units, for moderate-income units. This qualifies the project for the additional 40 units, with 16 affordable units. The applicant is requesting the following 3 concessions and 6 waivers. The first concession requested is to reduce the required privacy wall height at the southern property line from 8 to 6 feet per the Cadota Fig specific plan. Please note a 6-foot wall currently exists at the southern property line. 2 concessions are requested to forego 2 optional standards for residential developments. In analyzing the project, the applicant team determined that they could feasibly attain the 5 standards from the Simi Valley Municipal Code presented on screen. This concludes the requested concessions. And as mentioned, the applicant is requesting 6 waivers. The first of these waivers is to waive out of the Cadota Fig specific plan requirement that restricts structures exceeding 1 story in height within 150 feet of the southern property line. The 150-foot distance is shown in blue. The applicant proposes to construct 3-story buildings within 20 feet of the southern property line. Those buildings are shown in yellow. and the 20-foot required setback is outlined in yellow for reference. The second request is to waive the specific plan requirement for a 50-foot buffer at the southern property line, which includes a 25-foot landscaped area and no structures on the remaining 25-foot of that buffer. The image on the left shows the required 50-foot buffer outlining the required landscaping area in yellow. The applicant proposes a 3-story structure within this buffer shown in red on the right and a 20-foot landscaped area along the southern property line shown in green. The third waiver request is to reduce the required front yard setback from 38 feet to 20 feet at the north property line. The required front setback is shown in blue and the requested in red. The fourth waiver request is to increase the required walking distance between units and parking spaces from 200 to 260 feet. The fifth waiver is to request alliance of 18 by 8-foot compact parking spaces. 13 compact parking spaces are requested, highlighted in blue on screen. The project only requires 94 spaces and 108 spaces are provided. Therefore, there is a surplus of 14 spaces and the compact spaces should not impact required spaces. The sixth and final waiver is to reduce the required landscape island width in the parking lot from 7 feet. The actual width will be determined by Edison when a transformer is placed during construction. And this concludes our presentation on the housing portion. And now we'll move forward with the proposed CUP modification to the existing Lighthouse Bible Church. The church is proposing a new 5,588 square foot sanctuary building along Cochrane Street, along with landscaping and parking modifications. The sanctuary building will add an assembly area for the existing religious institution, as well as an outdoor courtyard. The development will include approximately 27,000 square feet of new and old landscaping. The modification also changes the church's boundaries to allow for the creation of the second lot. The proposed project meets the required parking standards with parking added to the southern portion of the lot. The proposed building is a prefabricated steel structure and it will be modified with stucco, cement, and stone sidings in brown, beige, and gray tones. Articulation is added to the facade with the use of different materials and a central pop-out. The facade along Cochrane Street will also incorporate landscape planters and a faux trellis. On screen are the side elevations facing the neighbors to the east and west. Both projects are categorically exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, pursuant to CEQA Guidelines 15332 for infill development. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve the modification of the conditional use permit for the existing religious facility site and recommend to the City Council approval of the planned development permit and tentative parcel map for the new apartment complex development. This concludes staff's presentation, and we're available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of staff? Commissioner Tolson?
Just to clarify, nothing is going to be done or changed with the parsonage.
That's correct.
Okay.
I have a question. Did the traffic study include the development that was recently approved right next door? Like imaginary, predict what would include right next door? If that makes sense.
Good evening, Commissioners. Yes, the cumulative analysis that we have all traffic studies complete includes development elsewhere in the city, or actually considers full build-out of the highest and best use of every site. So if a site is zoned for 40 units per acre, we assume that in the city's traffic model. So In effect, yes, the development of the adjacent site would have been considered as part of the cumulative analysis, which would be further on in the traffic study.
Thank you, thank you. Any other questions? We will open the public testimony portion of the hearing. Can I have the applicant, I'm sorry, I didn't get the name. Mark Petit and Keith Matthias.
Good evening. My name is Mark Pettit, and I'm the project architect for the project on behalf of Lighthouse Bible Church. First, we'd like to thank staff for all their hard work, especially Zarui, who helped us guide us through the process, so we're very thankful for that. We've been working on this project for about 3 years in different forms and finally came to this design. Obviously, the reason why we're doing this project is so that Lighthouse can sell the property and create money then to build their church project. So that's the reason for this project. So as mentioned previously, we're splitting the church more or less in half. So we'll have about a 2-acre parcel for the apartment project out of the 5.3 acres. The remaining, of course, would be for the church. And the project will have 16 affordable units, 10 low-income, 6 moderate, and those are proportionally spread throughout the project. So they're not all 1 bedrooms. They're a mix of 1 and 2 bedrooms, both for the low and for the moderate. As mentioned, our buildings have 2-story elements and predominantly 3 stories. We have significant articulation and variation both in the materials and the heights, and follow the requirements of the city of Simi Valley. The property will be removing some of the trees to make way for a more improved parking lot that is ADA appropriate, adding additional ADA handicap parking spaces, not only for the church property, but also for the apartment. In doing so, we have added quite a bit of additional trees, and because of creating or trying to make up the value of the trees that are going to be removed, we're incorporating larger trees into the property. Even with that, we'll probably have to come up with money for the variance, the difference in the tree value. But the intent is that we are going to be providing trees, and especially along the south border of the property as a screen between our property and the neighboring property. As also mentioned by staff, who did a very good job, the parsonage will remain, and we've taken some of the cues from the parsonage in dealing with the apartment building. One of the important things that we looked at is how can we screen the cars. So as you're looking from Cochrane, the cars are in garages or they're down quite a ways and kind of tucked in behind the wall. So you'll just see cars coming and going out of the drive. We also have a series of trash enclosures that are on the apartment project and new trash enclosure that's on the church parcel. And that meets all the new requirements with the 3 bins and the recycling organic waste. I won't go into any of the concessions or waivers. We worked hard to minimize the number that we we're requesting, and we try to keep it to as minimal as possible. I wanted to talk a little bit about the church project. And important is to have a meeting area, a congregation area. So we've created that on the south part of the new building as it interfaces with the existing church. And so it's connected by a plaza, as you can see in some of the exhibits, and it ties into an existing area of the church. So it's connected to the existing building by the plaza and by the sidewalks. The church property, as well as the apartment project, also will have electric vehicle charging stations and all of the, typical energy conservation, green building technologies that are required. The apartment project has a fair amount of amenities. Each building, 2 buildings, will have its own fitness center, its own community room, lounge, kitchen area. It will have a barbecue deck and also a fire pit area up on the 3rd floor. In addition to that, there's a lounge area on the ground floor, and we'll be using an Amazon-like package center. There'll be 2 of those, one for each building, and that'll be important. Options such as heat and cold for those package centers are available, and we think that that would be something that would be appropriate for the project. Each building also has its own gurney-sized elevator that meets the fire department requirements. So our typical units, we have 1 bedroom and 1 bedroom with an alcove. We call that for an office space. A lot of people are working from home now, so we have a design for that also, and then our 2 bedrooms. The units are slightly bigger than we do typically, and we have a variety of sizes as mentioned by staff. All the units have in-unit laundry. They're open plan spaces. They have either a balcony or a patio, and we're really kind of into the technology and smart home features for security and climate control and all of those things. The buildings will have solar panels, and the one unique thing about our apartment project is we'll have about 50% of the parking spaces with their own electrical connection that will go back to the apartments, so that if anybody wanted to add electric vehicle charging stations, they would pay for it through their own electric bill. So, and of course, a certain percent, 10% of that will be electric chargers ready to go, and then 40% of that will be for future. Continuing on with the green building features, I talked a little bit about solar and the low flow fixtures, Energy Star appliances, electric vehicle. We also will have electric bicycle charging areas, and of course, everything that we need to do with Energy Star. So we believe that this project will really be an energy efficient project following all the California Green Building Codes. So we've worked with our client to provide an upscale, mixed income apartment project that we think our community will be proud of when we're done. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the applicant?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, on the metering, excuse me, on the metering aspects of that you brought up, is each of the individual units metered for all the utilities, or are there common metering?
So California law requires each of the units to be watered for water, so they will all have their sub-meter for water. There will be metered for electric. This, at this point, is all electric building, no gas.
Okay. Sorry, I had to put myself in the queue.
Oh, sorry. I already saw it.
Sorry about that. Okay, so 2 questions for you. The first one is that you're asking for a waiver for the rear wall. Have you talked to the neighbor at all?
I believe our civil engineer has.
Okay.
And so we have that existing wall, and we'll be putting a fence with green on the
Okay, so you're
back
gonna put
along
like
with
a-
the.
okay.
Right, so it's just not going to be.
It won't be a wall, but it'll be screening. in other words.
Correct, correct.
All right, excellent. And the second question I had for you had to do with stormwater runoff. I'm sorry. I know it's in there, and, but you're putting in a swale. Is the swale on the north side of the property, or is that in the south side of the property?
So we have ribbon gutters that go throughout the property to take the water to underground holding areas. And also, we have some areas where we do have landscape that will go in, especially on the landscaped areas along both the church building and the apartment building. You had a
Oh, no,
particular location?
no, I saw that you were collecting, it looked to me like there was water collection in the parking lot of the apartment complex, because I'm more concerned about that than the.
So we do collect the water from
Yeah.
all the hard surfaces, and those that don't drain into any landscape area will be collected as appropriate in tanks. And we'll work the final details
Yeah,
out
I
during the construction drawings.
Yeah,
but-
I understand.
But that's, there'll be a system that we'll be able to use. I did want to mention that the playground park area that's in back of the existing church will remain, and of course, that also will have some capacity for water.
Okay, thank you. That's what I need.
Commissioner Tolson.
In terms of the sanctuary that's being built, is that being built by the same construction company doing the apartments?
I don't think so. Usually, in my recent experience, there are different types of construction people. Since we're looking at a metal frame for the church versus, at this point, typical wood construction for the
And
apartments.
potentially construction at the same time?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that once the deal is done, I guess, there'll probably still be some fundraising that needs to be done on behalf of the church and some other types of processes that need to happen. But I wouldn't expect that they will happen at the same time. They might be close, but I wouldn't say that they would be at the same time.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, just a follow-on question with the privacy of the south lots back there. Is the three-story building have windows that face those lots?
We do. We have a few windows. There are 5 units that end on the building, and I believe those are kitchen windows. And so we've modified that to minimize the number of windows on that side. And the trees are placed as much as they can to kind of be in line with those windows.
Okay, so just kitchen area windows then?
I believe that's it. I believe that's it.
Couldn't tell,
So-
so, thank you.
How does the parking, oh, I'm sorry, how does the parking get assigned? Especially covered parking?
It's just, we haven't gotten to that detail yet, but they're all assigned parking
And
spaces.
they're gonna get like charged more for that?
I'm just the architect, not the developer, so I don't know how
Sorry.
he's going to do that. But it's possible.
Okay, thank you.
I think there was a further answer to a question.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to be on this side of the dais here. I'm a member of Lighthouse Bible Church, and I'm helping to represent our pastor and elders, and I do have an elder here with a card I made him fill out.
What's your name? I'm sorry.
So, the one thing I skipped, Brent Seymour, city resident and member of Lighthouse Bible Church. The church plans are definitely visionary at this point. Seeing that the property would be given away, we wanted to make sure there was enough space to be able to build the sanctuary that would be large enough. This is probably the largest that the congregation would want to be. And we're still in the process of growing. The current space within the big buildings, which actually was a school at one time, would be converted to classrooms, which would support a larger congregation at that time. So this would be the only meeting space at this time. So this gives us the layout that we would need to be able to know we can grow in the future. So if you have any other questions about the church building or our operation, I can answer those.
Yeah, real quick, so the use of the forward most metal building, how do you envision the use of that in the future?
So at this point, the elders have looked at different construction methods, trying to find one that could be more budget conscious, to start with a steel frame building with materials that have a stucco sort of appearance to it, and then you start adding in all the wainscoting and all the other decorations. So that's meant to get us the biggest volume, because it would be a huge open space inside, would be a steel frame building that we would be utilizing, and then change it so it doesn't look like a steel frame building.
I think more to the point, how do you envision the church using that big open space? I mean, I've got a 50 by 80 building, and it has cars and stuff in it, you know.
So the way it's oriented would be, is there would be a stage to the east side of the building, as far as large space, seating for about 350. So as the church grows, right now, we could never fit that much into the current spot. We get large enough, we'd be moving in with a couple hundred and then grow to about 350. So that's how we'd use the space.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the chamber wishing to be heard on this matter? Sorry? Oh, I do. Kenneth, I'm sorry, I'm gonna butcher your last name. Rushing? Would you like to be heard? Oh, it was also, thank you. Thank you. Are there any comments from staff regarding any statements made during the public hearing?
No comments.
No comments. Would the applicant, I guess, the applicant already, would the applicant like to respond to any of the comments, but we had no comments? I'm just following the script. If there is no further questions, we will close the public testimony portion of the hearing. Are there any comments or questions from members of the Planning Commission? Commissioner Tolson.
You know, I love the project. Obviously, the concept is to help out the church, and having the residential aspect on the east side is good, so that you're not infringing upon neighboring. You've got a school next door. I like the articulation of the buildings. The tree border is significantly, I think, necessary for the southern residents. And I like to start, you know, it's a good project. It's a lot of waivers, some that I'm not excited about, but it's the rules we have. And that's it for me.
Commissioner Rice.
Just going from outside in. Yeah, so with the church project, everything looks great. I think the steel frame building is the smartest thing you could do. It gives you that great big open space in the middle. I think that's fantastic. That's just fantastic. The apartment, I'm a little concerned about the back part of the property, but you know, since you're doing what you can to raise the height, you're putting trees back there where you can. I like that. I do like the fact that it has balconies. I think that that's fantastic. And I agree with Commissioner Tolson. I like the articulation on the building. That's very nice. And I like the use of the hardy board on the top part of the building. That really looks good. Not a fan of the gray, but nobody should be taking design advice from me when it comes to color. So that's about it. I like a number of things about that project. I wish there was a little more space in the back, but that's the only real hang-up I have with it. So.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Yeah, I concur. My only concern was the privacy of the residential lots there in the back. I think the rest of the project fits well, and I hope you get some parishioners that actually live there. So,
I have another concern. When we talked about the project right next door, we talked about maybe considering the right-hand turn only for the traffic. And now that we have two projects right next door, door to door technically, and I pulled up the statistics or the facts of the project right next door, and there's 11 bedroom, 4-bedroom apartments, 9 3-bedroom apartments, 3 2-bedroom, and 3 1-bedroom. So that's 26 units with 59 parking spaces right next door. And this is 80 units with 108 parking spaces. So that's almost, I don't know, however many residents, but more than 200 residents for sure. And I do have that concern that if it maybe, it's not going to cause, I'm not debating, I'm not a traffic expert. Maybe it's not going to cause more traffic, but it will certainly cause, in my opinion, not being a traffic expert, cause more danger of collision. That's my opinion. But I just want their opinion to, maybe we can introduce just right-hand turn from that development.
I understand your concerns, but at the same, and Cochrane is a pretty fast street. I mean, especially at that spot. It's pretty wide, and I think that if there is a problem, I think that the city could do things to mitigate that. For example, if necessary, they could slow the speed limit, or maybe put in a left-hand turn lane. But at the moment, I don't see that a left-hand turn lane would be warranted for that amount of cars. Because they're not all leaving at the same time. And I understand your point, but this sounds like a lot of units between the two projects, but I think it's not that many cars that, at any one time. I don't. We could always bring the church. Yes, that's the exception maybe, but I mean, we could bring the traffic engineer up but.
I'm just putting it out there. We don't have to.
And I agree that, but I think that it's going to be okay for now, at least,
I guess we'll see. We're not gonna not approve it because of that.
Correct.
Just,
But we should talk
something
about it. Yes.
Yeah, something to
And city
keep in mind.
council will know our concerns.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Is there a slower speed because it's adjacent to a school? Now, I don't see it. I didn't see it today.
Any other comments?
Only that living here in Simi Valley, I make sure that during school years, I stay away from all of the schools during the time they get in and the time they get out. So I kind of route myself around that type of traffic activity.
And I do.
And I think our motor cops are going to help, so.
I do agree with you guys that this is a really nice project, and I do like the gray. This is just my personal preference. I do like the blue and the gray. I feel like it's a nice, refreshing thing in Simi, and I do like that it's right next door to two churches that are now doing something more for the community and their parishioners, and maybe opening their doors for more parishioners. So that's a really nice thing, and we're going to have more affordable apartments, hopefully.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. No more comments?
No.
May I please have a reading of the resolution?
Resolution number SVPC 09-2025, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Simi Valley recommending to the City Council approval of Plan Development Permit PDS 2024-0007 and a tentative parcel map TPS 2024-0005 for an 80-unit apartment complex development and a determination that the project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. And resolution number SVPC 10-2025, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Simi Valley approving a conditional use permit modification CUP-S-2024-0010 to construct a sanctuary building and parking and landscaping modifications for an existing religious facility, and a determination that the project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
I move to adopt a resolution approving CUP S 2024-0010 and adopt a resolution recommending to the City Council approval of PD S 2024-0007 and TP S 2024-0005.
A motion was made by Commissioner Rice. May I have a second?
Second.
Call for the vote. The second was made by Commissioner Tolson. Call for the vote.
The vote passes unanimously.
There is no appeal period for the plan development permit and tentative parcel map, and the items will proceed to the City Council with the Planning Commissioner's recommendation. The appeal period for the modification permit is 14 calendar days. The staff, oral communication and reports. Does staff have anything to report?
Staff has nothing to report tonight.
Do any commissioners have anything to report? Mobile Home Rent Mediation Board. Does staff have anything to report?
We have no report tonight.
Thank you. Tree Advisory Board. Does staff have anything to report?
We have no items tonight.
Okay, this concludes the meeting of May 14th. The next scheduled meeting will be May 28th. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you. That was fast.